For the week of April 3rd, 2022, this is Mojo Weekly. I'm John.
This is WrestleMania! Josh.
Josh. All right, you ready for the news? Here's the news, Josh. Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed till 2023.
Thank God. We just got the first one. I mean, people we're
fucking-
still just barely halfway through the first one. Come on.
It was only
Give 'em some
5 years
time.
ago, right?
No, isn't that crazy?
So Eiji Aonuma said in a video announcing the delay, he said, "For those of you who have been looking forward to a release this year, which is like fucking everybody, we apologize. As previously announced, the adventure in this sequel will take place not just on the ground as in the previous game, but also in the skies above. However, the expanded world goes beyond that. I don't know, what, in space? Fucking Zelda in space? And there will be an even wider variety of features you can enjoy, including new encounters and gameplay elements. In order to make this game's experience something special, the entire development team is continuing to work diligently on the game, so please wait a while longer."
Great.
A delayed Zelda game. Can you imagine such a thing?
Yeah, I mean, now comes the time when everybody puts their little coin in the hat. You know, the sweepstakes. Is it going to be a Switch release, or is it going to be a launch title for the next console? Is it gonna? We don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what, everybody's kind of speculating. Ooh, it's going to be a launch title for the Switch Pro or the Switch 2 or whatever. Maybe, I don't know.
How I'm going to say this right now. It is a 0% chance that they will ever call it the Switch Pro ever.
Yeah.
No way. No way. It'll be something like the Nintendo Oodle Putz or something. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on an Oodle Putz.
They'll do if they keep the name Switch, they'll do something like they did with the 3DS. They'll call it something stupid like the new Nintendo Switch.
Oh, God, is that miserable?
Yeah, they'll do something like that. But anyway, so bummer. I actually was hoping this would be out this fall. Silly me. For getting my hopes up. I'm curious as to what their big fall games are going to be. Dare I say,
Who knows?
Metroid
Maybe
Prime 4?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we'll get a Metroid Prime game this fall.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. But what has it been like? A year and a half of just Metroid stuff? Because we got Metroid, that new Metroid, Dread. Yeah. I mean, would they really do it 2 years in a row? A new Metroid? I don't know.
Maybe.
It's a little weird.
We haven't seen shit from Metroid Prime 4 since they announced it like 3-4 years ago. So
I thought that was in
who the fuck
2018.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, man.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get Odyssey 2, right? There you go.
I would love an Odyssey 2, honestly. Yeah. Just make it basically an expansion pack. I don't give a shit. Just give me more levels.
See, you're such a sucker like that. I actually want a new game. I want some new game elements.
Yeah.
An expansion pack. Fuck you, John.
Fuck, I don't care.
You're feeding in Nintendo bullshit. You're just like, take my money, give us the same shit every 3 years. We don't care. You're the problem here, man.
What is the difference between Odyssey 2 and just like a big ass expansion for Odyssey? Same diff, same diff. Maybe. Fucking same thing. Other big news this week. Sony kinda sorta unveiled their new PlayStation Plus thing. I don't understand why Sony does these half-assed announcements that aren't really announcements. It's like, hey, we're going to do this, and it's going to cost this. What are you going to get? We'll tell you later. It's like, I don't care. So PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now are basically merging into one thing, which everybody kind of knew was coming. It's a no-brainer. It only makes sense. And it's in 3 tiers, which I find very confusing for the average consumer. There's PlayStation Plus Essential, which is the dry, bare bones PlayStation Plus, which is what everybody currently has who has PlayStation Plus. You get 2 monthly downloadable games, sometimes 3 or 4. You get discounts for your membership on sales. You get save game, cloud storage, and online multiplayer. So that's PlayStation Plus, and it's the same price, the same shit, right? $15 a month. Then you've got PlayStation Plus Extra.
Oh boy. Here we go. Is this the one that includes the N64 games and the Genesis shit?
This you get a catalog of around 400 PS4 and PS5 games that can be downloaded anytime while you're a member. Also includes first-party and third-party games, but no new exclusives will launch to the service. So unlike what Microsoft does with Xbox Game Pass, they're not guaranteeing that all first-party exclusives are going to come to this. Not a surprise. They said this already, right? They said before that was kind of going to be the deal. So not a surprise. But around 400 PS4 and PS5 games. So depending on what that is, not a bad deal, right? And then finally, so this is the one that's $15 a month. Sorry, I was wrong about the other one. This is the one that's $15 a month. Seems like a good price, depending again on what those games are. We have no idea. They said, you're going to have examples are this list of a half dozen games that every single PlayStation owner already owns, like Spider-Man and God of War and all that shit. And I'm like, great. Those pretty much sold 1-to-1 with every goddamn PlayStation in existence. So this doesn't tell me anything. Third tier is PlayStation Plus Premium. So this includes all the essential and extra benefits. Plus, you also get around 340 extra games to the catalog, including PS1, PS2, and PSP games. For streaming and download. So important to make that differentiation there. Extra is for download. Premium is for streaming and download. PS3 games will also be available, but because the PS3 was a ridiculous pile of shit, only available to stream because you can't.
Ridiculous pile of shit. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like because the cell processor was a fucking stupid move. This shit's basically only available to stream. Streaming can be carried out on the PS4, PS5, and on your PC. Premium members will also receive time-limited trials of some games. Again, this is all squishy. It's all out there, and they don't give you any details. So when I see people say, "Oh, I'm not going to download or I'm not going to subscribe to this," fuck that. Or conversely, "Oh, I'm definitely going to do this. This sounds awesome." I'm like, how can you make that decision already? You don't know what the games are going to be. You have no idea what it's going to be. And again, this is Sony making their half-assed announcements where they're like, "Oh, here's the service, here's the price, no details on games."
So you had said though the lowest tier, so the 3 tiers, right? The lowest tier was $15 a month, or is that still the $60 a year?
No, I misspoke on that. The lowest tier is currently what it is now. I think it's like $10 a month or something, or like $60 a year. I forget what the price, whatever the PS Plus price is right now. That's what that one's going to continue to be.
For me, it sounds like the original, like and I don't have a problem with the $60 a year with a PlayStation Plus or whatever the hell it's been called, and that lowest tier. That lowest tier still is a good value.
Yeah, it's
you
fine.
Still get 2 free games a month. I have no problem with it. I mean,
it's $5 a month basically.
Exactly, yeah. And so the second tier, you're talking about adding 400 games and like all this extra stuff. I mean, depending on the price, that sounds like a good deal too. But that highest tier, that literally does most. Now I'm not going to sit here and say like, no, it's fucking terrible, or no, it's fucking amazing. But that the highest tier sounds like it should be flip flopped with that middle tier. The middle tier sounds like it's a better value, just in my humble opinion. But
well, the highest tier gives you everything that the lower and middle tiers give you, right? So the 400 games, blah blah blah, and then it also gives you a catalog of unnamed PS1, PS2, and PSP games, as well as PS3 games to stream. So it gives you the entire PlayStation family library, but a selection of games from each of those. I think, and that's $18 a month. Seems okay. Like, that's not a ripoff, I don't think. I'm like, depending again on what the fucking
I guess I don't know
library is. Yeah.
Again, yeah, and it depends on that too. But the big thing about Sony's model is that big games come out and people pre-order them still and buy them and install them separately. Like I'm going to buy the Ghost of Tsushima 2 is not going to be a part of this. It's going to have its own
right away.
tier.
It's not at launch. Yeah.
Right. So people are. I mean, and then you're a sucker, so you'll be paying the $60 day one to buy it. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know necessarily why you're saying $18 a month on top of buying games still, because you're still going to want to have an influx of new games coming in. If these things don't have new games, I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me. I think the lowest tier still sounds like the best deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's weird.
Sure.
I don't know. It's not a Game Pass competitor. It still isn't even in the same league.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you are not a person who buys the big first-party exclusives on day one, I think the second tier is a good deal, right?
What else do you have a PS5 for then?
Right, exactly.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Nobody's
PS5, the PlayStation, the whole PlayStation ecosystem is basically built around their gigantic first-party games, right? You get them for that. Their first-party content is kind of their AAA content is kind of unparalleled. So yeah, in that regard, like that's why you have a PlayStation 5, right? Anyway, I don't want to speculate too much on it again, because they didn't really announce specifics on what games are going to be there, which is like, what's the point? Like, give me the full announcement. Give me the full goddamn announcement, and then I'll make.
It's very half-assed. Yeah, it's very half-assed. When is that supposed to debut? This fall? I mean, do they have any idea?
June 1st, I believe.
Tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. We're not telling you anything, but give us money. Fuck you, Sony, for real. Come on.
Well, I mean, I'm sure once it, before it launches, they're going to say, "Here's the library," right? But we're 3 months out. We're 3 months out, and I'm like, just give us the library now, or at least if they don't have all the deals, finalized or whatever, give us what will be there. Like here's what we anticipate to be there. More to come.
Right.
Don't just tell me, like I said, the half dozen games that everybody already has.
Maybe, and
right?
here's an idea, John.
Yeah.
Maybe Sony's just waiting until E3.
The canceled E3. Next up in our news, E3's been canceled again.
Shocker.
Yay! Yeah, big shocker. E3 was going to be online only this year, and they just this past week announced that they're canceling it, and they may be back next year, bigger than ever, they say. And I'm like, yeah,
bigger and badder.
Yeah, like what's the point? Like we don't care anymore. We don't care. E3's done.
Is Sony and Microsoft still doing their own thing? Or are they doing anything? I know Nintendo's going to do their treehouse from Miyamoto's basement. Like,
hopefully that'd be sweet. I'd take it from Miyamoto's basement. All right, next up, Street Fighter V Championship Edition's final update, which is dubbed the definitive update. That came out this past week, and it is substantial, man.
Really?
I think the patch notes were like 79 pages or something like that. Fucking nuts. So there's a pixel filter homage to the series past. So it's like a cell shaded filter that makes Street Fighter V look like old school Street Fighter. I think that's
Holy
fantastic.
Shit. That is really cool.
Yep. And according to them, the crisp new visuals of the filter add depth and vibrancy to the game's 45 characters and their various attack animations. And then also there's 2022 Premiere Pass, provides new costumes for a bunch of characters, recolors for all 45 characters, fighter profile themes, 5 new titles, and 10,000 points of fight money. And also you will receive new track suits for every character. So you can look like Paulie Walnuts as you're beating the shit out of each other.
Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah. For Sopranos, fucking with the tracksuit.
That's hilarious.
So anyway, I think that's cool. This is kind of the last big Street Fighter V update before they unveil Street Fighter 6. So very cool. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet. Gonna try to do that hopefully this afternoon. I love Street Fighter in all its incarnations. I know that Street Fighter V is not necessarily a fan favorite, but I really enjoyed it. I think it plays beautifully.
Right on. Yeah, I know Pickle. He I wouldn't say hates Street Fighter V, but he prefers Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, that's a popular opinion.
He was pushing me to grab that on PlayStation, so I have it on my PS5. It was like $4.99 or something like that. It was really cheap, so
yeah,
I'm happy with that. I got both, so I guess
and then there's also the Street Fighter collection out there that you can get for like under $20 all the time. It's got pretty much every Street Fighter on there. It's great. Street Fighter 3. Third Strike is my favorite. I fucking love that shit.
Third Strike is your favorite, huh?
Love it.
Is that just to be cool?
Yeah, I'm a hipster that way.
Well, I'm serious.
No,
I don't know how anybody can go through all the Street Fighter games and think about the way that they enjoyed playing them, the way that they, played them initially, played them now, whatever, and could possibly say anything is better than Street Fighter 2. Like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, Third Strike, I think a lot of it has to do with the visual style. I love that era.
It's like a poor man's Mark of the Wolves.
Okay, that's a
It
take.
is. It is.
I love the visual style from that era. So, anything really from that late 90s 2D era is,
sure.
Saturn, PS1, all those like those 2D
Dreamcast
games. Those 2D game, like that visual style is really what draws me to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike the most. So anyway, speaking of Capcom, we have been enjoying this last month for Shmup Appreciation Month. We've been enjoying selections from the Capcom Arcade Stadium. Well, Josh, I have potentially good news for you. The Game Rating and Administration Committee of Korea, which is kind of like our ESRB, right?
Oh, sure. Right on.
They have rated a title called Capcom Arcade Second Stadium.
What?
So it has not been announced, but it seems to be an unannounced follow-up to Capcom Arcade Stadium. A separate rating for Capcom Arcade Stadium Bundle Number 1 was also filed. This implies that it will release in packs similar to the first compilation. So yeah, bring it on, man. Bring it on, Capcom.
Very cool. Yeah,
I was just talking the other day about how when we were streaming for Shmup Appreciation Month, about how it was great that they brought like Gigawing and Pro Gear to Capcom Arcade Stadium. But I was like, it is a crime that they did not put Mars Matrix on there.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so hopefully Mars Matrix will appear in if they do in fact do a second stadium. So
are you done with shoot 'em ups for a while though? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Other than maybe attempting Glay Lancer at some point again this weekend, which I kind of doubt I'm going to do.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
I don't even like just thinking about another shoot 'em up and like grabbing another one and like, oh, I can't wait until this release. It's almost made my stomach churn a little bit because it's been 15 nights of shoot 'em ups this last month.
I have played more shmups in the past month than probably in my entire life. Past Shmup Appreciation Month, celebrations have typically been like, hey, a game a week, like we've been doing with our score chase. I had the bright idea of, hey guys, let's stream a different shmup every single day of the month. And boy, oh boy, did we take that to heart. And we milked that shit. We milked it dry.
We did. I think we could potentially do that again next year. I was thinking about this too, but we need to get at least 5 contributors.
Yeah.
Because between 3 or 4 of us at most, we were like, I mean, this is like some of us were doing 2 or 3 nights a week, and that gets to be tough. So if there are 5 of us, that means, like potentially I could just do 1 a week each week. I'd be okay with that, I think. One game a week.
The other night, my last stream, I did Dodonpachi and Donpachi, and I did a credit feed of Dodonpachi, and then I was like, let's put in Donpachi. And I got like a third of the way through it. I'm like, Uncle, I just can't fucking take it anymore. Yep. I plowed through it, but I was like, good Lord, I can't take it. Yeah, I love shmups, but man, there's some variety. You need some variety in life, right?
You gotta. I think though that I know we're really sidetracking here, and I apologize, but I think though it's solidified in my heart that I do prefer vertical. No, I'm sorry, horizontal.
Really?
Shoot 'em ups compared to vertical. I definitely do.
Oh, really?
I definitely do now, because just going from one to the other, those vertical ones, I have a hard time differentiating them. When you play one, you kind of play the next one. You play the next one. There are differences in here and there, but I think you can get more variety in the side-scrolling style of them. And that's after playing through several dozens of them all month long, I can definitely say that I prefer.
Yeah, I have found that horizontal ones tend to have more, and I'm using this term loosely, more level design. Right. Like in Glay Lancer, it's got like different obstacles and stuff to go through. And, you kind of sometimes you're going through like cavernous areas where you have to avoid the top. You hardly ever see that stuff in a vertical shmup. It's usually a wide open play field. right? Without any sort of obstacles or caverns or paths you have to go through. Now, there are definitely exceptions to that.
But
those exceptions are few and far between. You see a lot more. So like in Gate of Thunder or in Hyperduel or like I said, Gleylancer, they actually have like different obstacles you have to go through. They have like the levels just seem more varied. And I don't know why that's not as much of a thing in vertical shmups. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, we digress. We can't stop talking about shmups, y'all.
Y'all.
So we're going to digress. We digress there, and we're going to go into the new releases. All right, man. There's some good stuff this week. There's also some shit, but you got to take the good with the bad. We got Lego
with the territory.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga for everything. Literally everything.
Dear Lord.
MLB The Show 22 for, again, everything. Even Switch, man.
Isn't that a Sony game?
It was. Not no more. I think last year was the first year they, maybe last year was the first year they went multi-platform with MLB The Show. Well, cool. I mean, it is made by Sony, but I think they made a deal with the MLB to put it out on everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and that's smart.
Yeah. Chinatown Detective Agency for Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I don't know what that is, but it sounds interesting. We'll talk more about that kind of stuff in a little bit. Here's a big one. Chrono Cross, The Radical Dreamers Edition for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. You looking forward to that?
That is the remaster of Chrono Cross?
Yeah.
I know some people are big into the Chrono Cross game. I tried it. I bought it on day one. I remember being really disappointed in it and just being like, really? Like, did not feel like a Chrono Trigger game. And I guess that's what I was hoping for. So
yeah, I think that was kind of the consensus. I'm looking forward to this because I never played Chrono Cross. I own it. I have like a secondhand copy, but got it many years after the fact, like probably a decade or more after the fact. So I just never really played it. I'm looking forward to trying this.
Yeah, maybe it'll be really cool.
Yeah. Godfall Ultimate Edition for the PlayStations, Xboxes, and PC. Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter for Switch. Slipstream coming to everything. And then finally, here we go, Josh. The House of the Dead remake for Switch.
Really?
Yes, sir.
House of the Dead remake for Switch? That's amazing.
The original House of the Dead as well.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah, crazy.
That's cool. That's
all right.
Cool.
Speaking of crazy, we got Crazy Dale and his retro recap.
Hey, what's up, Mojo Weekly listeners? This is Dale, and welcome to this week's Retro Recap. As always, credit for this goes to GSK from Retronauts.com, StrictlyLimitedGames.com, and LimitedRunGames.com. Before we get started, many thanks to everyone for checking out and being a part of Shmup Appreciation Month that just wrapped up. It was a record-breaking month for participation, and we want to give a major shout-out to everyone who checked out all the live streams, participated in all the weekly score-chasing challenges, and just kept all the conversation flowing in the Discord this past month. It was a fantastic month. Make sure to catch up on all the Shmup Appreciation Twitch streams before they're gone from John, Josh, Pickle Friction, and myself. This past week, John finished off the month with the Dreamcast Shmup stream with games like Under Defeat. Josh's last Shmup stream was for Cruisin' Mix Special, and I busted out the Game Boy version of Starhawk. Not the PS3 version, the Game Boy version on the Analog Pocket. And Pickle Friction had a ton of countless shmup streams this past month, so make sure to catch up while you still can. You have a couple days to post your final scores in the last score chasing challenge, which is for the Gleylancer, which is on PS4 and Switch and Xbox. You can find links to all this info in the Mojo Menace forums under the weekly Shmup Appreciation thread. With that out of the way, on to this week's releases. The only physical release this week is for Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, with an open pre-order currently ongoing on Strictly Limited Games. This is a follow-up to the niche favorite pair of SNES top-down action titles. The base game is available for $35 on PS4 and Switch, or you can upgrade to the various collector's editions ranging up to $110 that includes pins, soundtracks, postcards, and even a plushie too. Hitting digitally this week, let's start off with the Arcade Archives release this week, which is Namco's Wonder Momo from 1987 is available on Switch and PS4 for $8, and it is a side-scrolling action platformer game, seeing its first release in North America, and it puts players in control of the transforming pop idol Wonder Momo as she fends off die-hard fans and prying press members. SNK is back to unvaulting another Neo Geo Pocket Color game for the first time in a few months. That's hitting the Switch this week in the form of Big Bang Pro Wrestling for $8, and it was another former Japanese exclusive import. And GSK mentioned how this title shares developers that worked on the acclaimed Fire Pro Wrestling games, which are a 2D favorite wrestling series of mine, and if you look up the gameplay footage, you can see how the similarities to that game is readily apparent, so make sure not to let this wrestling game slip you by. Nintendo added some new additions to the NES and SNES channels that are available for subscribers to the base Nintendo Switch Online membership. These additions are the mascot platformer sequel, Earthworm Jim 2 for Super Nintendo, the sequel to the action puzzler arcade hit Dig Dug 2, and another Namco NES title with Mappy Land. Releasing in time before Shim Appreciation Month officially wrapped up is G Darius HD for PC via Steam for $30, and it is the background music for this week. The remaster of Taito's beloved 1997 arcade shmup is being handled by the Shmup Remaster Wizards at M2, and includes their trademark on-screen bonus score menus, leaderboards, save states, and countless other modern-day quality-of-life extra features. The PS4 and Switch versions that released last year also received a free update this past week to add in the new features that debuted on the Steam release this week, so make sure to check that out. And that wraps up this week's Retro Recap. Make sure to catch up on a MoJoMenace.com forum listing for this week's Retro Recap for links and all the prices for all the games this week. Back to you, John and Jayesh.
Jayish.
Jayish.
So I was thinking about being done with Shim Appreciation Month and how I am done with manic space shooters and games where I die 837 times per level. And I'm kind of done with the adrenaline rush for a little bit. So last night I'm like, man, I'm gonna start up a new game. New to me.
Here we go. Here we go.
A new to me game.
Okay.
What's it going to be? And I'm looking through my backlog, my collection, just everything. And I'm like, what about a really, really good text adventure?
Ooh, I'm liking the sound of that. That sounds fun.
So it's not technically like a full-on text adventure, but Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, the Phoenix Wright series. We're going to talk about Phoenix Wright today. Many games in the series, but I was just like, I need something where I can just lay in bed and basically read a fucking book and every now and then tap the screen with a stylus to choose something, you know?
That is exactly what I want to do too. I just want to lay in bed and just something relaxing that, you know.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Back in the day, like 2005, give or take, I played through the first Phoenix Wright game on DS. It originally came out in Japan on Game Boy Advance. I can't imagine playing these games on Game Boy Advance. I wouldn't want to. The dual screen thing kind of makes these games worth it for me.
Sure.
And I played through the first game and I really loved it. And then on the 3DS, I bought like the Phoenix Wright trilogy. Never played it. I don't know why. So I pulled out my 3DS last night. I'm like, fuck it. I'm playing game 2 in the series. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, and Justice for All. Like Metallica, metal. But anyway. So a whole shitload of games in this series look like it. So there's Justice for All, there's Trials and Tribulations, there's Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney, there's the Miles Edgeworth spinoff, there's Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Like there's just a whole shitload. Dual
like
Destinies. Dual Destinies. That's another one that was exclusive to 3DS. I believe there are a couple that are on Switch. So there's a whole lineup of games in this series, and they're just fucking mellow, right? It's a legal drama, right? So you're an attorney. You have to defend defend people who are accused of various crimes, most often murder. And it just involves like sometimes you have to go and look at clues at the crime scene and add clues to like your case book. But most often the meat of the game takes place in the courtroom, where you are facing off against a prosecutor and you're facing off against witnesses. And in some cases, the judge is like, he thinks you're a young whippersnapper smart ass, so, Mr. Wright, do you have anything to contribute here? That kind of thing.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And one of the great and also like not so great things about Ace Attorney is you have to follow the logic of the game. The logic of the game doesn't always make real world logic sense. So when you're presenting clues, they may be ridiculous, but you have to remember, I'm in the world of Ace Attorney. I'll give you an example, Josh.
Sure. All right. Let me hear it.
Not really a spoiler. It's the first case in Justice for All that I was doing last night. There's a guy who gets thrown off a ledge, and you are told that he died on impact. He snapped his neck when he hit the ground, right?
Okay.
Next to his body, he scratches, or there's a name scratched in the dirt, and his finger is on where the name was scratched. Now, immediately, my thought is, wait a minute. I thought he snapped his neck when he died, or when he hit the ground. So that was my logic. I was like, it would be impossible for him to scratch the name on the ground because he fucking snapped his neck. No, Josh. Right. No.
Oh my.
The reason it was impossible for him to scratch the name is because we established that he's left-handed, and his right hand was the finger that was supposedly scratching the name. And they're like, it would have been impossible for him to scratch his name in the dirt because he's left-handed. And I'm like, okay, guys, this is Phoenix Wright logic because, Josh, I'm right-handed, and I'm pretty sure I could scratch someone's name in the dirt with my left hand. It would not be possible.
Yeah.
So anyway, right. This is what I'm talking about. So on a lot of these things, you kind of have to use a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney logic and not like real ass logic. But once you kind of put your head in that space, it's super fun. It's goofy as hell. These games are super silly, super funny, even though they're like, ostensibly like they're about murder and people getting fucking brutally murdered.
Sure.
It somehow remains lighthearted, right? And you have an assistant, and she's like a spiritual medium, so she can maybe talk to dead people sometimes, and it's got this whole deal. Do you have any experience with these games?
Absolutely not. No, goodness.
No.
No.
I kind of got into games like this with the DS, like games like this. Hotel Dusk on the DS is another, it's kind of more involved, but it's another murder mystery kind of game. That's my favorite DS game of all time. Like these games kind of really lived well on the DS just because of how the console is built. I'm sorry, the handheld console is built.
Oh shit. So about the closest thing I can come to with the Phoenix Wright games would be like on the old TurboGrafx CD. That'd be the Sherlock
J.B.
Holmes
Harold.
J.B.
Also.
Harold.
Yep. J.B. Harold Murder Club and the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective on the Turbo CD.
Yeah, those games were the kind of not necessarily point and click, but the text adventure with the FMV sequences and the music and the you're learning a little bit here, you solve a puzzle, you find the murderer. It's a nice little afternoon dinner, like, I'm going to watch a dinner and a movie, something like that. So that's closest thing, but I've never experienced Phoenix Wright. But the only thing I ever got out of the Phoenix Wright, the history of all the games and everything is the memes. Like I know
objection.
Memes. I know objection. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. But it sounds awesome.
It's really fun. The games, they can be a little clunky, but they're not nearly as clunky as those old CD games.
How dare you?
Well, those games are cool. Exactly. Those games are cool and everything, but not necessarily. They haven't aged particularly well when it comes to like quality of life enhancements and shit like that. So anyway, Ace Attorney games are on nearly every console in existence. They're even on, they have really good ports on mobile. And that would be a good place to play them if you just want to whip your phone out while you're in a waiting room or on a bus or something. You're like, oh, I'm going to play through this fucking mystery or whatever. So they're really good for stuff like that. The ports are really good on mobile as well. But they also have Switch versions and whatnot. So really good portable games. Like I said, these are like, I equate these games with curling up with a good book. You know, but a book that you kind of have to play and solve. It reminds me of the Famicom Detective Club, which are games they recently re-released those on Switch, and I really want to play those. These are really good old man games. You know, like I don't have the skills for shmups right now. I'm gonna fucking play an old man game.
I'm done. My hands, I think I can't move my hands anymore. I'm good. Literally, like every night that we game, I put my thumb up to the camera to show the imprint of whatever number or letter I've been jamming on my controller. It's I've got calluses built up. I think I've been playing a bass guitar all month.
Yeah.
I think
nice.
I'm done with shoot 'em ups for a while. It's not to say that I wouldn't like want to jump in. This is the thing when we're talking about which ones are the ones that elevated to like a level of like I don't hate them, because I genuinely do.
Yeah.
Kind of hate some of these games now because they give me like a headache or like a mild like migraine after watching bullets on the screens for 3 hours a night. But things like Gate of Thunder, still beautiful, wonderful games. Lancer, fucking wonderful game. But then piles of the other ones where I'm just kind of like I could give or take them for the rest of my life at this point. So
there were actually, I mean, we're gonna just keep talking about shmups for the rest of our lives, I think.
Why not?
But there were actually a couple where I was like, now that I've spent this much time with this game, it's really not as good as I thought it was. Like I used to hold it in higher esteem, and now that I really have put a couple hours, like just solely dedicated to playing it, like fuck, it's really not that great. Conversely, Mushihime-sama, which I always enjoyed, I always thought was a really great game, but I didn't have it held up as high as some other games in the Cave catalog, right? Like I considered Espgaluda and Espgaluda 2 better, or Dodonpachi better. Playing Mushihime-sama for a week straight this month, I'm like, fuck, this game is great. Like it's smooth as hell. When you die, you're like, yep, I screwed up.
That's what I was going to say too. It's got that weird smooth and satisfying feeling to it. I don't even know how they really made that happen. But when you're just kind of like, you're going back and forth like that, and your like wave of bullets is just taking care of everything. It's like, God, this is like grabbing a big thing of plastic poppers and just popping the whole goddamn thing in one fall swoop and not missing a single one. That's what that game feels like. Weirdly, it feels like that. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the last question. All right, man, since we can't seem to stop talking about shmups, I would like to just ask you, what is the best shmup you played this month? Your favorite shmup you played this month?
Lancer on the Genesis.
Nice.
Because, here, okay, so first off, my favorite shoot 'em up of all time is Lords of Thunder or Gate of Thunder, depending on my mood. That's never going to change.
Same.
It just doesn't change.
Yeah, it always
it's not going to change
for me too.
But Lancer is one that I've only been somewhat moderately experienced with because it just came out a couple months ago, and that's when we first all started playing it. So, being able to play it and get to a new area was the best experience of this last month. It was like, whoa, I got to stage 8 when prior to that I only got to like stage 3 or 4, I think. And so, and there's a weird little piece of me that wants to try to get a little further into it. I just don't think I'm going to get into it. Not for a few months at least, but maybe this summer I'll pick it up again. But I'd say Lancer. I think it's a fucking wonderful game. Sadly overlooked for 25, 30 years. Like, it's wonderful. How about you?
I was just looking at our list of games that we played this month, and this is going to sound really weird because I've enjoyed this game for almost 35 years. Okay. But I had a newfound appreciation for Blazing Lasers.
Nice.
It was a game that I always considered to be like a really, really great shmup. But this was one of those games that I was talking about just a little bit ago where I was like, I didn't realize how great it really is, you know, until I put I played it on the stream and I was like, fuck, I sat there and played it for 2 hours straight. I'm like, this is actually amazing. I had a really good run on it. I got further on 1 credit than I'd ever gotten. I was like, shit, man, this is actually an amazing game. I can't believe they pulled this off pretty much almost as a TurboGrafx launch title.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
it's crazy.
It's fucking crazy. And it still remains probably, in my opinion, in the top 5 TurboGrafx shmups. You know, it's like fucking crazy how good they did right out of the gate.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to try not to talk about shmups. I don't know if we'll have it out of our system yet. We'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, you can find more of our stuff at MoJoMenace.com. On the main page, we've got links to our forums, MoJoMenace.com/forums. We got links to our Discord, and we've got links to our merch. If you want to support our business, our wackiness, and get something in return, click on the merch button on our main page, buy some merch, and you'll get something cool like a shirt or a mug or whatever, and then we'll get a couple bucks from every sale. It's pretty handy. Josh is answering the door right now, so I'm trying to vamp for time. YouTube.com/MoJoMenace is where we have all our video stuff, and Twitch.tv/MoJoMenace is where we stream anything but shmups for the foreseeable future. Josh, now that you're back, where can they find you?
You can always chitter chat with me as the game of the month starting next Tuesday night on my stream is Magic Knight Ray Earth on the Sega Saturn. We'll be playing for until I can beat it. Always check me out, twitch.tv/Joshua Turbo. Otherwise, chat with me on Twitterverse @_Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore is the most important underscore on all the internet.
And that is it for this week. We will see you next week. Bye.